11 to pop off.
What's good? Welcome back to the Pop Off Podcast, a conversation show about the NFL Week 10. I'm your host, Ralph Compiano, and I'm joined by a football enthusiast, somebody who's been on the waiver wire of the Pop Off Pod roster for God knows how long. It feels like he's the Joel Embiid of our roster. It's Spencer Clark. He is back in action. He's finally ready to pod again because college basketball is back, but he's joining me today to talk the pigskin. We're going to go football. We're going to deep dive a few games and then kind of skim through some of the boring ones. Because I don't know about you, Clark, but I'm at the part of the season now where I don't have to watch every single game. I'm going to kind of pick and choose which ones I want to focus on. Whereas the first few weeks of the season, every team has hope. Now there are a lot of teams that are either know exactly what they are and are really freaking good, like the Lions, the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Bills of the world. And then there are teams that are completely hopeless, like the Saints and the Panthers of the world. And then we're kind of in do or die territory for other teams, the Bears, the Eagles, teams like that. Where do you stand right now, like week 10, now that we're a little bit over halfway through the season?
Yeah, I'm living in the moment right now. I looked at it, I couldn't believe it was week 10. So I'm kind of getting that itch that we're going to start losing football, that football's not here forever. So I'm pretty proud of myself, living in the moment and really making sure I soak up every second of it, whether that means I have to watch the Panthers or not, because there will come a day when I wish I could watch the Panthers play football because I'll miss it that much.
They play the Giants at 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time in London, in Germany this weekend. Are you going to be waking up at 8:30 for that? Because you have a wedding Saturday night. There's no chance in hell you get up to watch the Panthers Giants at 8:30.
No, I won't be waking up for that. And that is honestly a borderline hate crime that we sent those two teams over there.
Like we're still winning World War II, like 100 years later. We're just dominating.
We're almost doing too much now. The time has passed, and it's almost like we're just beating the shit out of a dead body 80 years later.
I don't think it's as ugly as advertised. I think it's funny that we sent that game to Germany because we knew at the beginning of the year both of these teams were going to stink. And that's when these schedules are determined. But like Bryce being back, like I'm still excited for him. I'll still get up to watch Bryce. I'm not sure I'm going to get up to watch that game, but like Malik Neighbors is involved. Like there's still I was listening to a conversation with like an NFL film breaker downer, and he's like, I still watch every single game, and I watch the tape on Monday and Tuesday because there are still good players on every team. So I can still get myself up for those players. It's the same way I think about the NBA. It's like I might not really want to watch the Nets, but Cam Thomas is at least interesting. And when I watch the Giants, I'm like, all right, I'll just watch Neighbors every snap. And then when the Panthers have the ball, I'll just watch Young every snap. But let's break down our first game. I've divided them up. I don't want to go through every single one deep dive, but I do want to deep dive this one because it's my favorite team versus your favorite team. The New England Patriots are visiting the Chicago Bears this weekend. The Patriots are 2-7. The Bears are 4-4. They've lost 2 games in a row. The Bears are favored by 6 points, and I labeled this game the win or go kill yourself for the Bears game. Usually it's win or go home. This one is a win or go kill yourself for the Bears and Bears fans alike. And I have some stats for you just for the 3 top rookie quarterbacks, Caleb, Jayden, and Drake, the number 1, number 2, and number 3 overall picks in the 2024 draft. I was going through them today, and I thought they were kind of shocking. Obviously, Drake has only started 4 games now, I believe, and he's completed 3 of them. He came in against the Jets at the end of a game, I think on Thursday Night Football, and then he got injured against the Jets and didn't complete the game. So I only took his averages for those games. But if you just look at the passing and rushing yards per game combined, Caleb Williams is at 208 passing yards and 27 rushing yards per game. Jayden Daniels is at 216 passing yards, 51 rushing yards. Drake Maye is at 240 passing yards and 59 rushing yards per game just in those 3 games that we've looked at. What is your are you in love with this guy? Is this like the biggest light in your life right now other than Buddy Hield with the Warriors?
Well, thank you for shouting out Buddy Hield. Listen, it's exciting. It's exciting. We had the weird Cam Newton years, we had the Mac Jones years where we are kind of forcing ourselves to fall in love with that big fat ass. And then we had the true lightning bolt, which was Bailey Zappi, and being like, shit, I think this Bailey Zappi guy's the next Brady, which, no, he fucking sucked. So it's fun that we can finally say this guy's the next Brady, and there's a decent chance we're right, because he's by far the best rookie quarterback. I don't think it's relatively close, He's doing the most. He's doing the most with the less with the least. He's for sure better than Caleb.
Okay, so
They
this
get
was I can't believe you're coming with this stance because I just wanted to like have the therapy session. I was gonna say that like Jayden has shades of Lamar. Like we watch
I'm
Jayden
always
and we
on 10.
see like sprinkles of Lamar there. We watch Maye and it's like, all right, he has like shades of like Allen and Herbert. Big body, athletic, can scramble. His rushing yards is just as high as the other two, if not higher. Caleb, I'm like, I'm not sure who he has shades of. I'm not sure who he reminds me of. Is it Kyler? Is it Russell Wilson? Like, I don't know who his comp is, where there's kind of like a direct line comp for the other two guys. And that makes me nervous, where I'm still in on him. Like, I think he's the best quarterback out of the three. I just think he has the worst play caller right now. And I think that, the idea that he was going into the best environment for a number one overall quarterback in the history of the league, it was fair, I think, in the preseason when you just looked at the games on paper. They don't play the fucking games on paper. He has Shane Waldron as his coach. DJ Moore's quitting on him. Keenan Allen is old as balls. Their best receiver right now is Adunze. And then the offensive line, they're playing backups left and right. Like, these guys stink. And even when we have our whole offensive line in, the starters, they're average at best. With Drake, you're right. He does have shitty weapons around him. I don't know who the play caller is in New England, but he has to be better than Shane Waldron.
Shane Waldron's tough. Jackson Smith-Njigba told us that. Told us he was bad. The thing with the Bears is everybody was like, this cast is great. This cast is great. And they named the three wideouts. And Rome started out slow. I think Rome's coming along. I think he's going to be good. Obviously, Swift in the backfield, but then nobody wanted to talk about who was protecting Caleb. And for good reason, because it's horrendous. So I like Caleb. I think he's good. I think he's probably the most pure quarterback out of those three. Probably has the highest ceiling just based on what we've already seen from him and the fact that he's 22, 23, so he has a ton of time to progress, which he will. But man, Drake May is just doing it. He's just slinging the rock.
Well, their Ben Johnson rumors have been floating around all week. Like he, held off from taking a head coaching position because he was waiting for the Bears one to open up. We're going to talk about the Lions, but the Lions are able to do what they do, and Ben Johnson is able to call the plays that he calls because guys like you get chopped and buy Panay Sewell rookie cards, right? Like they built through the offensive line. That was the staple of their offense before they got Jameson, Montgomery, Laporta, Amon-Ra even. Like they're like, all right, let's build the foundation out first, and then we'll go get the sexy pieces on the outside. The Bears are doing the opposite approach. I mean, they've drafted Darnell Wright, Tevin Jenkins, and Braxton Jones, but those guys are rarely available. And when they are available, Jenkins and Jones have both been underwhelming. I think Wright's going to be a stud, but that's 3 out of 5. It's the idea of, you're only as strong as your weakest link, and they had Larry Borum in the past, Sam Mustipher, guys like that, and it's like our upgrades at those positions aren't significant enough for us to allow Ben Johnson to step in and have like 6-step dropbacks like he does with Goff, where he has 3.5 seconds to get rid of the ball. That's just not going to be the case with Caleb as long as this offensive line is there, so it's frustrating. Touchdown to interception ratio. Caleb 9-5 through his 8 games. Drake through his 3 games, 6-4, and he has a rushing touchdown. Caleb has no rushing touchdowns, which I found was fascinating. Jayden Daniels 9-2, and he has 4 rushing touchdowns. So he's only thrown 9 touchdowns. It feels like he's thrown like 18, but he's not quite there. Where would you rank the 3 of them? Like going forward, like we know what it looks like right now. I think it's Jayden 1 by a mile. You would have Drake 2. I guess you would have Drake 1, and the Jayden 2
Are
and
we
Caleb
basing
3.
this basing it off of potential or right now in this very moment?
I think ability plus potential moving forward, right? So independent. Well, actually, no. Include the systems that they're in. Like, do you have confidence that, New England will improve in the offseason and Drake might be really good next year, like 35 touchdowns, 12 picks, something like that? Can Caleb get there? Like, how would you rank them just from a confidence standpoint of those 3 guys next season and then let's say the season after that? The rookie contracts.
Okay, so I would probably, this is going to be way different than anybody else. I would probably go Caleb 1 because I think compared to Drake May, the Bears have shown that they're willing to surround him with people where the Patriots' big offseason splash was KJ fucking Osborne. Like people were excited about KJ Osborne, and it's like, okay, KJ, fucking, almost got traded the other day. So I would go Caleb 1 because although the Bears are a sad franchise, sorry, they are.
Yeah,
I
I'm
think that
very aware.
they're aware enough, and the Chicago fan base is rabid enough that they will force them to put people around Caleb. Where I'm not sure that that's the deal in New England. And the thing with Jayden Daniels that scares me, and I know he gets the Lamar comp because they're both fast African American quarterbacks. I mean, call it spade a spade.
Yeah.
He's not nearly as big as Lamar. So I don't want to say I get shades of RG3 there because that's not fair. I don't. He's 10 times better than RG3 ever was, I think. But I think he's susceptible to injury there. Like even some of those hits he took last year at LSU, he would just get blown up. He looked like a cartoon character flying through the air, like a legit cartoon character. So I would probably go Caleb, Drake, Jayden based on a 2-year outlook from this moment.
Devontae Adams said that he watches Lamar Jackson rushing highlights before games in order to like influence him to be able to make people miss. Like wide receivers look at a quarterback in Lamar Jackson and they're like, that's the guy that inspires me to make people miss in the open field. Jayden is really athletic, really fast, really smart, and a good thrower of the football. But he's not, nobody's in the same world as Lamar when it comes to making people miss. And I think he's probably done a better job in the NFL than he did in college of sliding, getting out of bounds, being smart with that kind of stuff. But you just never know when it's happening. Knock on wood, we don't want him to get hurt because he's really fucking fun to watch. But all right, so the Patriots in Chicago, Bears are favored by 6. If the Bears lose this game, I am going to have such a intense, spontaneous combustion that I don't think I'll be at work the entire next week. I won't be at practice coaching basketball, and I might leave the group chat. I think those are the 3 parts of the recipe. Like if they like, they cannot lose to your Patriots. I'm sorry, like it just cannot be possible. And it's also maybe the 2 biggest doofuses of head coaches between Gerard Mayo, who I thought I was going to love, but turns out I don't, and Eberflus.
Eberflus is a clown. Let me ask you this question. Has the thought crept in your mind of, I wonder how Justin Fields would do with this offense?
You know I'm a JF1 supporter.
I know.
I think that if he wasn't able to thrive in Pittsburgh, and granted they don't have the best weapons on the outside, but they have a much better offensive line. It's much more stable than Chicago's, and it's just a more stable environment. Like that is a winning environment. They're constantly above 500, and he was winning games. That thought actually hasn't crossed my mind, but now that you raise it, I'm still happy we have Caleb. Like I'm going to take Caleb 10 times out of 10. But I mean, just the thought exercise of having Justin Fields back there, and let's say we took Neighbors or Maserati Marv with the number 1 overall pick, it's not like the worst thing in the world. Like it is kind of a fun thought process. It might be worth like a Madden franchise where I kind of rebuild the Bears in that fashion. But no, I'm still Caleb through and through. I haven't gotten the jersey yet, though.
You have to do Caleb
when we got Justin, I got a jersey before week 1. I haven't gotten a Caleb jersey, and maybe it's because number 1 just looks cooler than number 18. Like I'm definitely probably going to get a Jaquan Brisker jersey or a Jalen Johnson jersey before I do Caleb. But I know that he's better than Justin, but I don't have the same attachment to him.
Do you think Peyton Manning made the 18 jersey unsexy for a quarterback to wear?
I think you have to be big if you're going to wear 18. Like Peyton was like 6'5", 6'6". Like he's the sheriff. Caleb's Petey's height. Like I don't know. Like he's not the biggest guy in the world. It just doesn't look that good on that little body. And I think 13 would have looked really good contrarily, but Keenan ended up getting that when he came over. I wish he would have rocked with 13.
Yeah, and I feel like as the number 1 pick, you should be able to just steal number 13. I get respecting the vet and all, but I think you should be able to steal that number.
I'm hoping if this season doesn't go well, that he's like, it was the number, just had to get some new juice, because I believe in that kind of stuff. Like, look good, feel good, play good.
You'll be excited if after the year your franchise quarterback blames this season on his jersey number, because that would make me want to show up at his fucking house.
I think you misconstrued my words. You twisted them a little bit. All right, are you taking the 6 points here with the Pats or the Bears?
I got to ride with my Pats. That defense is great.
Great.
I like what That's a good defense. It's
I
still a
think
good
it's a
defense.
good defense. I don't think it's a great defense by any means.
Well, we're down. We're down our three best players on defense. Have been all year. So bear with me a little. But I think 6.5's a lot, and I think Caleb's still at a point in the year where he can get confused easily, and I think defensive coordinators recognize that. And I think he's getting better as the season goes on, but I think he still just throw some different looks at him.
Should we do a man-to-man $10 bet on this one? 6 points instead of through the sports books.
You
Instead
want
of
to bet
giving
my
Vegas the money, let's give each other the money.
So you think the Bears cover?
Yeah, I think we cover by 6.
All right, I'm comfortable taking that bet. I believe it's 6.5.
All right, recorded. I have +6 according to. All right, so you're right. It is +6.5. I have -6 here. One is according to DraftKings. The other one is according to FanDuel. We are FanDuel bettors, so we'll take the 6.5. I'll give you 6.5.
Okay. Yeah, I think I like that. What do you feel like the Bears have to do this week? Like, what do you need to see out of them to feel good? Because like a squeak by win against New England, you're not going to feel good, are you?
No, not at all. I think that's where my thought process is, and I don't think they should feel good with a win by 7 either. I think that they need to win by double digits. You're at home. They have been really successful at home. I think they've won like the last 13 home games. That's something to consider. Like they lost at Arizona and they lost in DC to the Commanders. So I think getting back on home, and again, the second half of the schedule, it is a lot of division games. And if they can take advantage of the division, if they go 3-3 or 4-2, I know this is wish casting, it's possible to get into the playoffs. I still have their over-under on wins at 9.5, and I'm still praying on that one. I took 2 over-unders on wins before the season. I took the Broncos at over 5.5, which is just the easiest money in the world. And then I took the Bears at over 9.5 because I was confident, especially in this defense. So I think the defense can constrain the living fuck out of Drake. But it'll be interesting. If he shows up against this defense, like then I'll be a firm Maye believer. Like I'll be all in on him.
Will Montez play this week?
I don't think so. I don't think Tez will be playing. I bet Tyreek is back to starting, and I don't think Brisker is playing as of right now. But I think Montez is a game-time decision.
Okay. And I'd be remiss not to ask, how'd you feel about the Herbert trade this week?
I love Khalil Herbert.
Had to have been bittersweet.
I watched DeAndre Swift, and he just reminds me of the kid that shows up like at 5th grade basketball practice with like 2 Under Armour shooting sleeves that are like bright neon. And then Khalil Herbert is just the kid that shows up in ankle socks and is getting like 16 rebounds a game. Like they're 2 totally different running backs. I thought he was brilliant the last couple of years when he was either a backup or had to step up as a starter behind Montgomery. I love Roshan too. That's just the kind of running back that I like. You either have to be like the shiftiest one in the world, like Saquon, or you have to be able to bowl somebody over like Roshan could. And I felt like Herbert was a good balance between the two of them, where Swift is just like, he thinks he's Kamara. He's not Kamara. He's had a couple of good games. I get that. But for the most part, it's just he's kind of doing his own thing versus what the ecosystem is encouraging him to do.
Yeah, that's valid. I kind of see DeAndre Swift as like a homeless man with AIDS version of Saquon Barkley, where he's just like tries to do the same stuff and he just fucking can't. That's kind of where I'm at on the homeless man's with AIDS version of Saquon Barkley.
So we exist in 2 totally different environments because I said a 5th grade basketball boys metaphor and you came out with the homeless man metaphor. All right, we'll move on to the next game.
I live in Chicago, Ralph.
Yeah.
These streets aren't fucking nice.
So the next game that I have is, a couple of them. It's just the best in the biz. All right, so we're going to talk about the Lions game and the Chiefs game here. The Lions are 7-1. They go to Houston Sunday Night Football. The Texans are 6-3. And the Lions are favored by 3 or 3.5, depending on where you're looking. They're the best team in the NFL, according to my thought process. I know they don't have the best record because the Chiefs do, but I think that they're the best team in the NFL. And their money line right now is -184, and that feels like a max play. That feels like the one time in my life where I actually take $184 out of my bank account and I put it on them money line to win $100. I've never done that in my life. I've never exactly betted what Vegas puts. I think this is the time that I do it. Nico Collins is supposed to be a quote unquote long shot to play. I love the Lions here. I mean, I don't know how you defend them. I think their defense has gotten better. They just traded for Zadarius Smith, who's a goddamn dog. He's not Aiden Hutchinson, I get that, but a very good edge rusher that can come in and give you some reps, right? He can play 35 to 40 snaps and put some pressure on the quarterback. Am I wrong here? Like, I feel like this is the time to just really take advantage of them.
No, I think you're right for two reasons. I think the Lions are incredible. I think Jared Goff's the man, and it's so fun to root for a number one quarterback who was written off.
100%.
It's the best. And I think the other side of this is I just don't think the Texans are very good right now. And I don't think they're obviously 6-3. They've won games, but I feel like it's been few and far between where you watch them play and you're like, this team looks good. This team looks
yeah.
I just don't feel that. I think Stroud has regressed a little this year, which I think happens.
Sophomore slump.
I think sophomore slump. He also had probably the best rookie year by a quarterback ever.
Yeah, it's like him and Herbert.
Like ever. So there was going to be some regression. And now with Diggs out, Collins out, I mean, he's throwing the fucking ball to Xavier Hutchinson, which shout out Iowa State, but
I kind of like Xavier Hutchinson. I don't mind him. I think he's pretty decent. But yeah, it's John Mechie and Xavier Hutchinson and Tank Dell versus Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs, and Tank Dell. Like, it's just different. Let me ask you this. Are they this year's Dolphins, where I don't want to put the word fraud on them because I love D'Amico and I love CJ, but their 3 losses are against the Bills, the Packers, and the Vikings when they got blown out. Their wins are against the Colts, the Bears, the Jaguars, the Patriots, the Colts again, and they just lost to the Jets. I forgot about they lost to the Jets.
Mm-hmm. I think.
Sorry, they beat the Bills. That's right. They beat the Bills at home.
They beat the Bills by a field goal. I think. I don't know that I'd call that because Miami is fraudulent. Mike McDaniels is fraudulent. And I don't think the Texans are fraudulent. I just think people continue to forget that this is year 2 of this regime.
Sure.
This is year 2.
I feel like they're too dependent on Mixon, though. That's kind of like when I watch them, I'm like, damn, if Mixon doesn't get going, then they're not going to get going. And he's like a 29-year-old running back that's, I don't know, probably past his prime. He still looks good on some Sundays, but that's a running back that looks good the first few weeks of the year. But then when we get to December and January, it's like, I can't rely on this guy anymore. Like, he's just too old. His withered bones are going to be freezing.
That's karma for what went down to that Norman restaurant. His bones withering. Every time I watch him this year, I'm like, I kind of think Mixon's dominating. He was hurt for a bit, missed a few there, and they handed the show over to Cam Akers. But I've been impressed by Mixon this year. I think I feel like he's the backbone of that offense, like you said. And I feel like for the most part, he's been getting going. It's just now with Nico and Diggs out, their number one wideout is 5'9", 150 pounds. Their number one wideout is the size of a freshman in high school.
All right, so like let's say 5'9", 150. I think like if you just dropped him into Madden with those kind of like intangibles, he might be like a 71 overall. But his name is Tank. Like, how many plus overall does he get there? Is that like a plus 14 overall when you name your kid Tank? Like, we have 2 tanks in the league right now. They're both kind of dinky guys, and they play way bigger than they are.
I think that's like a 9 to 11 point swing for him. Is just being named Tank. Let me ask you this: if I threw you down on a field at middle linebacker, and Tank Dell was running a crosser, could you blow him up?
Is it before the 5 yards of the line of scrimmage where it's still like clean for me to like knock him out? And do I know that he's coming, or is it like
Derek Carr's throwing him a hospital ball?
Is it like, okay, so Derek Carr's throwing him the hospital ball, he's throwing him the Olave.
They're throwing him a hospital ball.
I think if you asked me that 4 years ago, yes, absolutely.
Middle linebacker.
But like now, I don't think that I'm capable of that anymore. I think that I would like flinch or something like that. Versus, yeah, 4 years ago, I would have blown his shit up.
Who do you think from the Popoff network delivers that blow? Who do you think really finishes the job there? Because I have somebody in my mind that I think makes that hit.
If I were to power rank them, I'm going to go Caps 1, Bordy 2, PD 3. And I want PD to know that too. I want him to know that he was third on my list there.
See, Caps crossed my mind, but I was going to go Texas Pete.
Ooh, Texas Pete's a good one. Texas Pete's a really good one. I honestly underestimated him. But I picture him more as our edge rusher. Like, he's coming off the edge. He's our Aiden Hutchinson. I don't have him back at, like, the nickel. Where Caps, I'm putting him at middle linebacker. Bordy might be playing the Vince Wilfork role. And then PD's definitely our slot corner.
God, they're going to burn PD. Did PD play football in high school? That motherfucker would jump on everything.
I think until his sophomore year.
If I was the coach, I'd be like, run out there and just slowly turn and look back and then just run straight, and that dumbass will probably bite.
Yeah, I think he was a corner and a receiver, and then he gave out after maybe his freshman or sophomore year. But yeah, we didn't have the most productive football careers. Intramural flag football, though, I was dropping dimes, I can tell you that much.
If PD had any fucking decency, he would try out for the Barnstormers.
All right. We can move into the next game.
Next game.
The Broncos are going to Kansas City to play the Chiefs in a divisional matchup. Chiefs are obviously 8-0. The Broncos are 5-4, 1 win away from cashing that over, which I'm excited about. Chiefs are favored by 7.5 at home. Ooh, 7.5. Seems like a lot of points for the Chiefs.
Yeah, but you're forgetting about the fact that Bo Nix kind of stinks.
He does kind of stink. He looks like he smells really good, though. Like, he looks like the kind of guy that's clean cut, Old Spice commercial waiting to happen. But he does kind of stink. Like, I'm trying to look at how many times the Chiefs have won by more than 7. Like, Raiders, they win by 7. Bucks by 6. Niners by 10. Saints by 13. So, recently, they have been winning by pretty good margins. But for the most part, early in the season, they were all close games.
See, the thing with the Chiefs, and tell me if you feel this way, is obviously, like, they're winning games, and maybe they turn that corner with D-Hop. But before the last game, I still didn't feel like they were a great team. Like, if they played the Lions, I would probably take the Lions by double digits. And that's probably silly because Mahomes is incredible. But, like, I don't know.
Let's preview that game instead. That's way more fun than this one. The Lions and the Chiefs. Let's just say the Lions are favored by 4.5 against Kansas City. Is there any, like, is there any validity to us taking the Lions, or do we just have to take the Chiefs, like, plus points?
I think I would take the Lions.
I think I would take the Chiefs. Because, all right, so I'm watching that Tampa Bay game Monday night, and they get down, I think, 17-10 in the third quarter, something like that. And they get up to plus 170. In the second that I see them go plus money, I automatically just subscribe to the notification, send it to me. I'm putting something down. And so I did, and I had all the confidence in the world. And then Mahomes, like, tears his fucking Achilles on that scramble or that rollout where he gets the flick pass to Pirine. And I'm like, oh, my God, the one goddamn time that I, like, take the Chiefs plus money, Mahomes is going to get hurt, and I have to watch Carson Wentz play football now. And then the devil magic kicks in. His Achilles just goes full LeBron mode and repairs itself like Wolverine. And then he comes out, they win the game in overtime. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, this motherfucker is going to give me a heart attack for either betting on him or betting against him one of these days. Like, if I ever have a heart attack, it's because it's during a Chiefs game. Because I do dislike them. Like, I'm not sure where you stand, but I'm annoyed by these motherfuckers. I'm exhausted by them, tired of them. I'm ready to get rid of them. I'm ready for somebody to usurp them as the best team in the NFL and win a fucking Super Bowl. So that way Kelsey and Mahomes aren't doing we just did a three-peat shit on the podium. That shit annoys me to no end. I'm ready for the next team. But I understand they're the modern-day Patriots. They're here.
A three-peat would be kind of cool. I would hate it. I would root against them every playoff game, but it would be a little cool.
It would be kind of cool. I can't in my right mind cheer for it, but it would be kind of cool.
There was no part of you that was like, I wonder what Carson Wentz has in the tank over there when Mahomes came up limping.
If it was any offense other than Andy Reid's, No. But because it's Andy Reid's offense, and he said he's like, we kind of like what we're seeing from Carson. He's like the scout team quarterback when they go against him. He's like, I kind of like what I'm seeing from him. There was a little piece of me. I mean, this kid had an MVP season like 4 years ago. It's not that long ago. Well, I guess it'd be like 6 years ago now. So it was a decent amount of time ago. But still,
6 years, 6 years in an ACL ago.
Yeah, right. He's had a couple of surgeries since then. All right, next
6
game.
years in an ACL ago.
We have, I labeled this one America's game just because it's like the biggest logos in the NFL. The Eagles are going to Dallas to play the Cowboys. The Eagles are 6-2 right now, second place in the NFC East, and the Cowboys are 3-5. What a clusterfuck of an organization. Can we let's try to do this? So it's a very divisive time in our country right now. The election just happened. I'd love to get your thoughts on that. A lot of people down in the dumps right now. I'm sure most Cowboys fans are pretty up about the fact that Trump won, but let's shed some positive light on this team. What bright spots are there for Cowboys fans? Like, this is for Bordy right here. What can we say about the Cowboys in a positive fashion that's going to make Bordy feel good about his team? Oh, you're thinking
CeeDee Lamb's going to get his stats?
Is he? Like, what's he at right now? What are the receiving leaders?
He's up there. I want to say he's fourth.
He has the coolest first down celebration in the league by a quarter mile. So he's fourth right now in receiving yards. He has
bang, bang.
660. Yeah, you nailed it. 4 touchdowns. And the thing is that he has 53 catches on 84 targets. Just to kind of compare that to his peers, so 53 out of 84. I'm not sure what the percentage is there, but not great. All right. Jamar Chase is 55 out of 70. Justin Jefferson, 48 out of 69. Jayden Reed, 36 out of 47. Terry McLaurin, 42 out of 60. Like, they're just not connecting. I'm not sure why they're not on the same wavelength. I don't know what it is about these two, but perennially they've been, one of the best quarterback wide receiver duos since CD entered the league. And now there's just a disconnect, but he's still getting the stats. And he also, it looks like he's leading the league in targets. Yeah, 94. That leads the league in targets.
For sure. Every dropbacks to him. I think there's a real chance with that Cowboys team that what you're seeing is Dak just regressing. Dak's been around a while.
When you watch Dak, are you rooting for that guy? Dakota Rain Prescott?
I don't know so much as rooting for him. I just feel bad for him. He's like the dog that's chained up outside in the rain, and you're like, I just want to bring that dog in and give him some love. Because, Cowboys fans are fucking lunatics. And honestly, that might just be it. It might just be 1A. Is the Cowboy fans are lunatics, and that guy can't do anything right, and he's having a terrible year, and he deserves everything he's getting, but I still feel terrible for him.
The dog analogy is great, too, because he's not chained up to the backyard. He's chained up to the front of the yard where every neighbor that drives by can see him and they feel bad for him and they pity him. This is the most popular sports organization in America. And every time we turn them on, they're always on national TV. Every single week, they're going to be on the Fox game where Tom Brady's announcing them. They're going to be on Sunday Night Football. They're going to be on Thursday Night Football or Monday Night Football. They're always in prime time. There's rarely a noon kickoff where the Cowboys are playing and there's 5 other games going on. All eyes are always on Dak. So I think that maximizes his errors. I still like him as a quarterback. 100%. I think you still pay him, but or they did pay him. I don't know. There's just something about him being named Dakota that just rubs me the wrong way. And I've been a Dak guy in the past. But once I discovered that, it Lamar, that's a quarterback name right there. Justin, that's a quarterback name. Tom, Peyton. Dakota is not a quarterback name.
No, it's really not. So, dude, I don't know. That Cowboys is just such a clusterfuck, too, because now, Jerry Jones is 85, 86 probably. He's getting to that age where he's like, I have so much money. I own this team. I'm just going to do whatever I want, which is a hilarious stage to be in if you're not a Cowboys fan, because it's hilarious to watch from the outside, but it does feel like it's imploding from the inside there.
He's 82 years old, but he looks like he's 96. And he talks like he's 96 too. He is grandpa at Thanksgiving that doesn't give a fuck anymore what your stance is on
How
anything.
old's
He's
his
like,
wife?
oh, you're getting a liberal arts degree, dude. You're a pussy. Like that's just Jerry Jones in a nutshell. Jerry Jones' wife. Let's find out. Is she bad?
She's got to be. Jerry Jones
Eugenia
has a sweet.
Jones. Hmm.
Strong men love their women named Eugenia. Him and Skip. Isn't that her name? What's her name?
I think it's like Franny or something like that. And are you calling them both
No,
strong men? Like, is that how you
There
just
are-
referred to Skip Bayless and Jerry Jones?
Skip Bayless is like 77. People don't recognize that Skip Bayless is old as fuck.
Yeah, but he's torn up, dude. Like he's living on an elliptical. Like anytime that he's not on TV, he's on an elliptical, just shredding Jordan
I hate
tape
it.
still.
I think Skip Bayless would kick my ass.
All right, yeah, let's do the same thing. So Tank Dell situation. You have Skip Bayless meeting
Okay.
Tank Dell like at the Derek Carr hospital ball. Is Skip Bayless blowing him up? I feel like he's definitely like he might like go for it, but I think he's getting his shit trucked and he's dislocating both shoulders.
Here's what you're going to see out of Skip Bayless, and it's going to be his downfall. You're going to see a little hesitation, and that's going to be the end of him. He's going to hesitate. Now, a guy like
All right.
Stephen A.
What do you think about Stephen A. going on The View today and talking about? So he goes on The View. I'm not sure if you saw this. He's talking to Whoopi and crew, and they're like, "Would you think about running for president of the United States?" And he goes, "No, but if I did, I would look out for every American and make sure that they had all that they needed to survive and celebrate life." That's not verbatim what he said, but it was something along those lines where he's like, hypothetically, if I was the president, I would be the greatest president of all time. We would be number one on every rating station. Like, you wouldn't be able to stop me.
Whoopi and the gang, unbelievable. I think Stephen A. thinks so highly of himself that I think that if I wrote Stephen A. a letter and pretended I was a 13-year-old boy saying that Stephen A. running for president would change my life and that he's my hero and I wish he would do it, he would probably feel like that letter came from every child in America and legitimately run for president. I think I could get Stephen A. to run for president.
I saw a fucking TikTok of him the other day, and it was all of his mistresses, or like all of his side pieces, and it's just like really mid-ass like black women. I'm like, this guy's never toyed with a snow bunny once. There was like 30 chicks on the video, and it's just like him in hotel bathrooms, like taking selfies with them in a mirror, and it's like, like Stephen A. is like he's loyal to the cause. He's pretty much Dr. Umar on First Take.
Like, are they older women or younger women?
No, yeah, they're like his age. Like he's not like, not a lot of Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders that are black chicks. Like they're not our types. They might be my type. They might not be yours, but
You mean young?
Yeah. Yeah, right. All right, next game. Actually, I wanted to talk about the NFC West. Okay, so the NFC West is in a fascinating position right now where you have the Cardinals who are 5-4. We have the 49ers and the Rams at both 4-4, and then we have the Seahawks at 4-5. Okay, and I'm looking at the division standings and just like, who do we want to put money on to win this division? And I want to come to a collective agreement here because the 49ers are the favorites still at plus 105, again, according to FanDuel. The Cardinals, despite being the front runners right now, are plus 220. Then you have the Rams at plus 380. Then you have the Seahawks all the way down at plus 1100. People have given up on this team. And I think we can kind of take them out of the equation because I'm not going to put my hard-earned money on them. No offense to them. I love Geno. I like McDonald. But DK being out is really hurting. Looking at these next group of teams, Niners, Rams, Cardinals, pretty much all around the same record. Who do you have the most faith in to win the division?
Well, I'd probably go the 49ers. I mean, that on paper team is just so loaded. And I don't think Arizona's there yet. They're feisty this year, though. They're a lot of fun, but I don't think they're there yet. I think it's going to come down to the Rams, 49ers, and I could see that division being decided in like the last 2 or 3 weeks. Unless CMC comes back and just runs crazy, which he very well could. But I like the Niners right now, and I like that defense even more with Trump getting elected and Boza coming off the edge. I mean, what is his defensive player of the year at right now? Because
I saw that the other day. Somebody hammered it. He was plus 1,800 right after Trump got elected. They took it. the Niners' upcoming schedule, they have the Bucks, the Seahawks division game, the Packers, the Bills, the Bears, the Rams, the Dolphins, the Lions, and the Cardinals. That's a tough schedule. You have the Lions, the Bills, the Packers, all out of division right there. Take a look at the Rams schedule.
Let me ask this question about the Seahawks. Geno was a super fun story, and I love Geno. Is there a chance that the Seahawks are deciding complacency by trotting Geno out there every week? I mean, I think it's fair to say Geno is never going to win you a Super Bowl.
Sure.
Probably won't win you a division. But he's a good story, and I like Geno a lot. But that feels like a team that maybe needs to look at a quarterback and maybe sit him for a year.
Who do you like there? All right, so we have the quarterbacks coming out. You have Shador, you got Akers, you have Beck. Who else is available? I haven't been keeping tabs on mock drafts recently. Beck hasn't been great. Ewers potentially.
Yeah. Nussmeier from LSU. Did you say him? Did you say Ward?
I did not say Nussmeier. I did say Ward. They're probably going to end up at like 17, 18. I feel like they always draft in that slot.
Yeah, I agree. So I don't know who slips to there. Riley Leonard. Some team's going to take a gamble on Riley Leonard. I said it in the chat last week. He's just too big, and he's just a Josh Allen prototype.
According to Bleacher Report, the first 2 picks in the draft, the Patriots take Travis Hunter. The Jaguars take Will Johnson, the corner from Michigan.
Really?
And then the 3rd pick in the draft, the Saints take Shador Sanders. Shador, the first quarterback off the board. And then you have Akers going 5 to Cleveland, Nussmeier going 6 to Vegas. And the Seahawks are slotted at 15 right now. They haven't taken an offensive lineman. I suppose that makes sense. Always want to build in the trenches, like we said earlier, but it might be new quarterback time. And then I like your idea of sitting him behind Geno for a year. You got to get a black dude in the same room as Geno, though. It can't be a white dude. They're going to get scared off by him and his I ain't right back no speeches.
You think? Geno kind of gives me vibes that he might be cool with a white man.
I mean, I think most black dudes are. Like, I rock with black dudes all the time. Like, half the coaches I coach with are black. But, like, I'm not coming for their job, you know? Like, Geno's not going to be like, I'm going to hand it over to Garrett Nussmeier. I'm not going to hand my starting quarterback job over to a guy named Garrett. Like, he's way more likely to do it to somebody named Shador. That's just life.
Do you think Shador is going to be a good NFL quarterback? Like, who would you give a comp to in the NFL for Shador? Super accurate guy, smart quarterback.
When I watch him, like, there's like this predetermined idea that like every black quarterback is a great athlete. I don't think he's a great athlete.
I don't think he is either.
I think he's agile, though. I think he's going to be one of those quarterbacks that's like really smooth in the pocket. Like, he has elite awareness of like rushers. He obviously works out with Tom Brady and has like that kind of, you know, mentor, which is like the best quarterback mentor that you could ever possibly have. So I think you said that, you know, somebody was a homeless version with AIDS. Swift was of Saquon. I think that might be Shador and Burrow. I think that he's accurate and he's going to be able to bounce around the pocket. He's not going to be Burrow good, but that's what I see when I watch him. Like, Burrow was 60 touchdowns and 6,000 yards in college. Granted, he had the 2 like best college wide receivers ever around him. Shador has a really good wide receiver around him, and Jimmy Horn, a couple of studs. He's not putting up those numbers.
I was going to say, don't forget about him.
But that's what I see. Like, he's kind of Black Burrow, but maybe not homeless version with AIDS. Maybe more like Coke Zero.
Burrow came to my mind too. And somebody else that came to my mind, and I don't know if you'll scoff at this or not, maybe a little bit more athletic Kirk Cousins.
Sure. Cousins, Dak came to mind a little bit, but I think Burrow's like the ideal. Like, that's what you would want him to get to, but it's just not going to get there. All right. You have you have a league game tonight? You have bowling, basketball? What do you have going on tonight?
Yeah, we play poker on Thursdays.
Okay.
We play poker on Thursdays, but everyone brings a recreational thing to share with everyone, and we always do it in the middle of the game, and then we forget fucking how to play poker for about 30 minutes. So
that's awesome. That's a great get together.
Yeah.
All right, so we will speed round through a bunch of these games and give some picks out. All right, you ready? We'll go We didn't even do the Germany game yet. Let's do the
Locked
Germany
in.
game.
I got time.
8:30 a.m. Giants Panthers. The Panthers are 6.5-point underdogs against the Giants. What do you like?
I think Daniel Jones figures it out in Germany. I think the big loser in that game is Germany as a whole, the whole country. But I'm a sicko, and I like to bet on Daniel Jones sometimes.
That is called the number. Absolutely called the number. If you like to bet on Daniel Jones,
Okay.
it's you either like to bet on Daniel Jones or you're like, oh, there's a profit boost on this game. I feel like I have to put something on it in order to feel invested in it. I feel like I have to bet on Daniel Jones. There's a difference between the two of them. Which camp are you in?
First one.
Okay.
Daniel Jones has 4 or 5 games a year where he just has 300 passing yards, 60 rushing yards, and 4 touchdowns. And then he's dog shit the rest of the year. But those 6 games are what keeps him employed.
That's another team. Same conversation we just had with Gino. They got to go get a new quarterback next year, no matter what. I actually did circle this game. I wanted to go deeper on it earlier, but the Bills are going to Indianapolis to play the Colts. The Bills are 3.5-point favorites against the Colts, who are starting Joe Flacco. And I want to see Anthony Richardson. All right. This guy is black rookie version of Josh Allen. Just guns it, completely inconsistent, but has some wild plays that keep you invested in him. I get it. I know that, the Colts are competing and they want to keep the locker room sane, so they're playing to Flacco, but give me Josh Allen versus the insane schizophrenic version of Josh Allen every day of the week. I'm hammering the Bills here by 3.5. I don't know why they're only favored by 3.5. I guess the Colts might have a decent home field advantage with the fat kid that likes to sing before the games with the Colts anthem. But I'm just gonna put all of my faith in Josh Allen. He's the MVP of the league. Colts, if it's not Lamar.
Colts fan of the year. He was named the Colts fan of the year and got
was he really
2 Super
good
Bowl
for him?
for
I feel like he kind of juiced the odds though. This is our Colts.
Bro,
this is our team. We bleed blue. That shit's a banger.
They brought the cheerleaders out to greet him, and you could tell that was his first interaction with a woman fucking in years.
That wasn't his mother, yeah. Because I bet she makes some mean garlic mash. Yeah, I'm going Bills by 3.5. You got any thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I feel like that's one the Bills get. AR is interesting because you're right. He has the same stats, and I think teams need to be more patient. I felt like and somebody said, I'll say it, but I thought they did him a big favor not trotting him out there last Sunday night in front of America.
Sure. Yeah, against Brian Flores, he would have had a field day against him. And they were competitive in that game. And that might raise the question if the Vikings are frauds or not. We're going to talk about next because the Vikings go to Jacksonville to play the Jaguars. They're 7-point favorites in Jacksonville. Let's just frame it this way. It's Sam Darnold versus Trevor Lawrence. Okay? 2 quarterbacks that have a lot more in common than I think anybody would have wanted to admit a couple of years ago.
So it sounds like Trevor Lawrence will not be playing. It's going to be the Mac Jones show.
What?
They just signed C.J. Beathard, too, to back up Mac Jones. Lawrence is banged up. I think they're going to give him Sunday off. So it's going to be the Sam Darnold, Mac Jones show, which I think is probably why you're seeing 7.5.
The Jags are folding the season then. They've completely given up.
And I don't know where they go. I don't know what direction they go in. I love Trevor Lawrence. You know I love Trevor Lawrence, but is Trevor Lawrence the guy?
I think Trevor Lawrence is the guy, not in Jacksonville. I think whoever his next contract is with, that's where he's the guy. I would love to see him in a Stefanski offense in Cleveland. Maybe, the Tua situation doesn't work out in Miami. He goes there. I think you give him the right coaching system, he's going to work out well. Maybe the Niners. They're, they don't want to pay Purdy. Maybe they're like, we see Trevor Lawrence and we see a ton of talent there. Purdy has 10 touchdowns in 8 games. He's not been that good this year. And granted, he's missing a lot of the weapons that he's had over the last couple of years, but he hasn't been the Brock Purdy that finished second in MVP voting last year. And I love Purdy. I do. That's my guy. I'm rooting for him through thick and thin. Yeah. But there's got to be a team out there that sees this Lawrence situation and they're like, we got to poach that motherfucker because he's supposed to be the guy, and he's just not been that.
And it should be Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh's a perfect one for him.
Or New York. Or the Giants. Pittsburgh's still looking for that quarterback. I don't know if Russ is that guy. for him. I like
He's
that.
not
Russ is
that
kind of
guy
having
for
some.
them. Come on. This is not. There's no
I like that he's
Renaissance
having
going
his little
on.
renaissance.
No. No, absolutely
Is there
not.
not? I don't know. They don't look bad.
I mean, we're talking about them next. They're going to play the Washington Commanders this weekend. The Commanders are
What's the
favored
line?
by 2.5 at home
Yeah.
against Pittsburgh. This is a tough one. I think this is a stay away for me, but if I had to pick the game, I'll take the commies just because, yeah, I love betting against Russell Wilson. As much as you love betting on Daniel Jones, that's how much I love betting against Russell Wilson.
And that stems from your allegiance to future, I presume.
Absolutely. They're going to be blaring future. If they were
Yeah.
smart, the Commanders' home field advantage would stem from playing future, not just like before the game and at halftime, but like during plays. Like, is there any rule against that you can't play music during plays? Like, can they just do the NBA Jumbotron style where, they're blasting Migos at the Atlanta Hawks game? Let's get some future going at every away game against Pittsburgh.
Do you think Russ was talking to his buddies when he was first dating Sierra, and he's like, "Yeah, like she's Sierra, but like fucking probably won't be able to listen to Future anymore." And they're
I,
like weighing pros and cons.
no, because I don't think he ever listened to Future in the first place. I think that he's been like a
What's his?
Lecrae guy his entire life. Like he's a Christian rapper, that kind of guy. Like his favorite album is probably like Genesis by Lecrae, if that's an album by Lecrae. I
Craig goes
bet it is.
crazy. That I have no idea, but I would guess that he has an album called Genesis. But shouldn't Russ kind of look at Future with like I gotcha kind of look? Like I'm raising your kid, I got your girl.
I don't know. He did just drop like 3 of the 10 best hip hop albums of the year in 1 year. Like Mixtape Pluto is absolutely banging in my eardrums every single day at work. So I think the Future's doing okay. I think he's probably
Yeah, I
still
don't
ate up
disagree.
by it a little bit, but I don't think he's mad at Russ. I think he's mad at Sierra because she's like, why are you fucking with a lame? Like that's just miserable. Have you ever seen the video of like it's like the hottest woman I've ever seen in my entire life, and they're like at the top floor of a hotel, and she's in a pool by herself in a dress, and it's Future and like 2 of his buddies just standing outside, and he goes,
What is
Futures
this?
walks out. It's a video, and this girl is just like sitting in the pool, and Future walks out, and he goes, "It's a real life mermaid." Like, damn, that's a sexy mermaid. And she looks at him in like this an Italian accent, like she's clearly European. She goes, "For you, only for you." And Future looks back at her and he goes, "Nah, for us." And it's just him and his 2 boys right there. And she goes, "No, no." And then he just walks back inside. And it's just like, I think Future's doing okay.
That's just bringing your boys with you on the journey.
Oh, God. He's taking them with him everywhere, dude. All right.
Fucking carrying them with him.
What do you have in that game? Commanders by 2.5.
I like the Steelers there. And if
Okay.
it's 2.5, if you're gonna bet plus 2.5, bet the money line.
Yep. Titans Chargers, our Lord and Savior Justin Herbert going against this Titans defense, which is still pretty frisky. The Chargers are favored by 7 at home against the Titans. Is it Mason Rudolph still? I guess. Like that's where I am. It's week 10. Like I don't even care if it's Levis or Rudolph. I'm not going to watch this game. I'll
No,
probably bring the Chargers down to like 2.5 and put them in some kind of parlay. But the Chargers win this game 9 times out of 10.
I'll probably bring them down to 6.5 and throw them in something. But they win that game. I think they probably just run the ball all day. And yeah, but if I have to take one, I'll take the 7 because I think the
Jets.
Titans suck.
Jets in Arizona against the Cardinals. The Jets are actually favored by 1.5 against the Cardinals. What the fuck have the Jets done to be favored on the road against a team that's leading their division? Like, I'm going to take the Cardinals here, money line. I don't give a fuck about the plus 1.5. It looks like you can get the money line at plus 106 right now.
Don't you always feel like that's the trap, though? Like, that's the one where I'm like, obviously, this is what I think, and this is what I think will happen, but then that one never happens. Like, that one feels like everyone will bet Arizona, and then the Jets win, and that's how Vegas profits. Sometimes I think you have to bet with Vegas.
I think you should always
And I
bet
think
with Vegas for the most part.
I think I'd bet with Vegas on that one. Like, I would probably take the Jets 2.5 and not watch that game either because I don't think I've ever tuned in for a Cardinals game despite Kyler being Kyler. It's just like not a team that ever appealed to. I never am like, let's tune into this Cardinals game.
Can I get something off my chest?
I would prefer you did. Go ahead.
I think Sauce Gardner is so fucking overrated. I think if his name was Derek Lawson and not Sauce Gardner, people would be like, this is the 15th best cornerback in the league. But because his name is Sauce, people are like, oh yeah, he's the one. He's right on line with Surtain. I'm taking Surtain over him. I'm taking Christian Gonzalez over him. Jalen Johnson. Give me all those guys. Even Jalen Ramsey still making plays out here. McDuffie, sure. Give me like 5 different corners before you give me Sauce. I think he's so overhyped.
I don't disagree with you.
Okay, good. But I am excited for that matchup with Maserati Marv. Because that's my problem. Like, if you're going to be the lockdown corner that you say you are, let's follow Maserati Marv around. Let's shut him down for a game. Because I watched him against the Patriots and like he's missing tackles and like giving up crucial plays late in the game. Like, that's not what a lockdown corner does.
No. And especially in New York, where the last lockdown corner was maybe the best corner ever.
Period.
Like, there's some shoes to fill there. I recognize it's probably been a decade, but there's still some shoes to fill there because everyone remembers Revis Island.
Was that the peak of the NFL? Revis Island, Megatron balling, Adrian Peterson going for like 296 yards and breaking records.
Yeah.
Brady, Manning, Rivers, Roethlisberger, Breeze.
Ocho Cinco.
Sure, you can put Ocho Cinco in that conversation. Why not?
Ocho was still doing his thing then.
Braylon Edwards and Derek Anderson for the Browns just throwing moonballs.
Oh, Marquise Colston, go up and catch it, brother.
Legion of Boom. I mean, now we're just naming guys from 10 years ago, but that might have been the peak, dude. That might have been the peak.
I think it. Because, like, there's a lot of shitty quarterbacks now. Like, who was the shittiest quarterback 10 years ago?
Oh, God. I mean, probably was the Bears quarterback. It was probably Orton or McCown, whoever it had to have been at that point. Because I liked Cutler.
Wasn't Cutler?
The Cutler era was still fun for me. Like, I was a Cutler guy. I was smoking cigarettes at 16 years old watching Cutler. I wasn't. But I was thinking about it. I was like, this guy seems cool.
Wanted to.
Yeah, I might do what my quarterback does. I don't know who the worst quarterback was. That might be worth scrubbing.
I ran into Jay Cutler's ex-wife on the street a few months ago.
How'd she look?
She looked great. She was with her boyfriend, the Montana boys. She looked good, though. She looked like she was 37 and could still get it.
Okay, so I'm seeing for quarterbacks that threw, like, let's say at least, 250 attempts. Shit, they weren't throwing that many attempts back then.
Is that bastard EJ Manuel on there?
I haven't seen him yet, but I saw Mike Glennon pop up. I see Brian Hoyer.
Josh Freeman?
I haven't seen Josh Freeman pop up. Tannehill was still slinging it. Kaepernick. That was like peak Kaepernick days. Brandon Weeden is here. Ryan Lindley. It looks like the worst quarterback might have been Drew Stanton. He played way too many games, it looks like. 240 attempts for the kid. And McCown.
Detroit?
So still, it was still like fun guys like Nick Foles, Fitzpatrick, Mark Sanchez. Like, they're still airing it out. I did see EJ Manuel. It looks like he threw 131 balls that year. And Jake Locker, too.
Every NFL team should just be forced to have just a loose cannon backup quarterback.
Yeah, bring Ryan Mallett back.
Right. Rest in peace.
Did Ryan Mallett die?
I believe Ryan Mallett drowned over the summer.
What? He drowned?
Yeah, I believe he drowned in a rip current.
Holy shit.
I hate that I had to break this news to you.
Oh my God. Former Arkansas quarterback Ryan Mallett, who went on to have a 7-year career in the NFL, died Tuesday in an apparent drowning at Florida Beach. He was 35 years old.
Those rip currents are no joke. You're listening to this and you get stuck in a rip current, swim side to side, swim out of it. Decent
swim side to side when you get stuck in a rip current?
Yeah, I think because it just runs like straight on from the water. So if you swim side to side, you'll eventually swim out of it.
Okay. I mean, I guess while we're on the current story, I actually saved my ex-girlfriend from a current in Marshalltown, Iowa, when I was a senior in high school, going into my freshman year of college. We were rafting. I'm not really like an outdoorsy guy. You know who I am. I probably would have rather been, getting shot playing 2K. But yeah, we were rafting with her and some of her friends, and her friend was super hammered, and she was in a floaty, and she's floating down, and then all of a sudden, like we see a current kind of take her away, and my ex, who was also like kind of drunk at the time, goes to try to save her, and I'm like, that's not going to happen. She's not that athletic. And so I go and I saved them both. And that's probably the most heroic moment of my entire life, other than what I do every goddamn day.
which is mold young minds on
Exactly.
the basketball court.
Yes.
So, what's going through your mind as you're saving a life? Because I recently put out a fire in our oven, and I felt like the man. And JT and Yaz were like, that was pretty cool. But I can't imagine saving a life.
I have a
Talk to me
question.
about saving a life.
I have a question about that after this. There was nothing going through my mind other than pure instincts and adrenaline. And again, that's 18-year-old me. Like, this is probably as fit as I ever was, bench pressing like 235. I was able to move, but I was never the best swimmer. So I think that like some part of my like brain took over my body and it was like, dog, I got this. You don't think, let's just get out there and save them. And not going to lie, the one that was my ex's friend was a little bit on the heavier side. So it wasn't like the easiest pull away from that current. So I've got the current force going at one rapid speed, and then I've got the chunk kind of moving towards it, and I'm still like out here just making plays. So not a lot going through my mind. What's set on fire in your guys' oven?
I think Jack was making something in the oven, and he put some tin foil in the oven, and it fell to the bottom, and it
Oh,
just lit up. But we live in a 3-4. You've been here, but we have 3 apartments in our building, and the girls that live on the first floor, they moved in on a Sunday, and their entire apartment started on fire that Sunday night. Like smoke billowing out. Like we were gone, my roommate was here. Dude, they left for like 6 months. Their entire place started like fire department had to come and legit put a fire out.
holy shit.
And then they came back, and then the first day they came back, they ran their washer and they overfilled it, so it flooded their whole apartment. They're great girls. We love them. They're sweethearts. But they did have a fire and a water event in the first like 2 nights they stayed there.
I don't want to project anything onto these women, but it sounds like they might
Go
be
ahead.
the inverse of daddy issues. They might be having some mommy issues. They might not have had mommies around that were teaching them, one, how to use an oven, and two, how to use a dishwasher. And that might be sexist of me to say that, but I don't regret it. I feel like that's just the reality that they grew up in.
Listen, I don't know if that's the case or not, but I know that my roommate was sitting up here and he's like, man, what are all these sirens doing? I hear all these sirens. And they were 2 stories below him putting out a fire.
Holy shit. Wow. What was going through your head
That's it.
when you set that fire off?
I didn't set the fire. Dude, I was. So it all leads back to these girls started the fire. So they put these fire blankets in our building. So I had to run down and I pulled the fire blanket off the wall and I threw it out and I put it in there and I patted it. It felt pretty cool. I understand why people want to be firefighters. That would be a cool profession.
Can I ask you this?
Firefighters are so much cooler than cops.
So much cooler. Were you
You
chopped
can
when
ask me
you
whatever
did
you
it?
want.
Like, was it a instinctual
Yeah.
thing or were you clear-headed?
No, I don't remember correctly, but I was at my apartment, so I assume I was chopped.
Yep.
So, yeah, I I moved fast. I felt good. I felt fucking good in that moment. What
We should move to the last game. We have Monday Night Football. The Dolphins are going to LA to play the Rams in a McVay coaching tree matchup or Shanahan coaching tree matchup rather between McVay and Mike McDaniel. The Rams are favored by 1 at home against the Dolphins. Tua versus Stafford. This could be a fun one. The over/under set at 50.5, which is tied for the highest in the NFL this week. I guess the Bengals Ravens, who played last night when people are listening to this, was 52.5. But Dolphins Rams 50.5, a lot of points.
Yeah, it's quite honestly, I'll be real with you. That's a game that has no appeal to me. That'll be a Manning cast game.
Mm.
I just am so sick of the Dolphins and Mike McDaniel and the underusage of Jalen Waddle. It's not going to work there. It's never going to work there for them with the current setup.
That's
I will watch
interesting.
Stafford throw the ball.
Is that your Patriots coming out, or is that just like pure football frustration coming out? Because when Waddle got there originally, it was like, oh, this is the perfect system for him. Like, imagine him somewhere else. Like, you can't. Like, he was just, this system was designed for guys like Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. And now it doesn't feel like that at all. It's like, oh, this is kind of tired.
Yeah, it's tired. It's old. And tell me if there's a small part of me that's like, I don't really have a ton of interest in watching the Dolphins right now because I very well may watch Tua die.
Correct. Yes, 100%. And again, primetime game. So like all of his, concussions have pretty much happened like on a national stage where that's the only game that's on. And that's the worst time for it to happen. Like if it happens at, noon on a Sunday and there's 6 other games going on, like Red Zone shows that for a couple of seconds and then we move on. But if it happens on a Monday night in LA, they're going to stick on that for like DeMar Hamlin amount of time. They might call the game.
We have a DeMar Hamlin situation on our hands.
We do. And a real death, not like one of these, clone deaths.
I really thought DeMar was dead. Happy he's not.
I actually was hooping during that game, so I came around everything. I've still never seen the play that he supposedly almost died on. Or not supposedly, he did almost die.
Well, he hit someone.
I've never seen that exact
He hit someone. He didn't die on the play. And I say that because he did die. But he hit him, and then he got up, and then he just went down.
Damn.
I'm actually shocked that has an NFL person ever died playing football? I doubt it. But it feels like that might be inevitable. These dudes are just so big and so fast and
Well, they're only going to get bigger and faster and stronger too. Go ahead.
Here's another gripe I have. And this is going to sound like an old man gripe. The NFL is so concussion. We got to do this. We got to do this, right? How come they don't make guys wear mouth guards? The mouth guard is was always a big thing for concussions. How many times do you watch dudes have the mouth guard in the helmet, have it hanging? I've never understood
not have one at
people...
all. Guys will play with Chaws. Right. Baker's out here zinning during games. There's no way he has a zin Baker's and a mouth guard.
Right. So this NFL is so serious about all this shit, but then the one thing that everybody has, no, not mandated. I just have never understood it, and I've never understood how more people there hasn't been an uproar yet, because people love to get pissed about everything now.
I mean, even Stephen Curry plays with a mouth guard in, and he's playing basketball, which is a 10% as violent sport as football. Maybe. I mean, I think it would just be common sense at some point. But all right, do you like the Dolphins or Rams in this game? Let's say Tua survives and he lives throughout the entire game.
I think the Rams go on a little run.
Okay. So do we like the Rams at plus 380 then to win that division?
No, I still like the Niners, but I think the Rams are going to go on a little run here with Puka and Cooper both.
All right, I'm going to take the Rams. It's going to take everyone a little bit. That's a juicy number. All right, well, that's all we have for this week. Clark, thank you so much for joining. You were lights out this entire episode. I thought this was great.
You might have talked about it earlier in the week. Did you have a prediction for the Bengals-Ravens night?
Well, when people are listening to this, it will have already been played, so I didn't have one on here, but I did take a bet. I have the Ravens covering, and the line was 5.5. I think that they're a juggernaut. I think they're the third best team in the league behind the Lions and the Chiefs, right ahead of the Bills because they beat the Bills head-to-head. So I'll take the Ravens by 5.5 tonight.
Okay. I just wanted you to call your shot. I like the Bengals money line.
I also have Jamar Chase anytime touchdown parlayed with Khalil Herbert anytime touchdown. So when you asked about the Herbert trade, that was the first thing that I thought of, and I think it's plus 750.
He seemed excited to get out of Chicago and go to
a little bit
Cincinnati.
Too excited. I think he's excited about the opportunity because he's like, I'm better than this DeAndre Swift guy, which he probably is, and we're probably going to miss him. But that's all that we have for tonight or today. Everybody have a great weekend. Thank you so much for listening. Clark will be back next week on Wednesday talking about college basketball with Skylar Reesberg. Cannot wait to listen to that. You guys shouldn't be as well. And we'll have, if you haven't listened to Rent Money, please do that as well. College football is really kicking into high gear. The first tournament bracket, whatever playoff preview is out for the college football playoffs, so that's exciting. And we'll be back next week talking more NBA with Martian and Barter. So that should be fun as well. Thank you guys for listening. We will see you on the other side.
Love it.
Peace.
Thank you guys.
I'm loving the pop off.